understand what is happening all around you.
So I feel like I'm floating above lots of maps and paths, and I'm looking at the timelines. There's all these timelines, but it looks a bit like a map, as if you're hovering over a map, only this map is bigger. It's timelines of different experiences, levels, different versions. It's very complex. It's very complex.
And as you integrate into that space and you have a look at all of those timelines, what are you meant to know about these timelines? What is it that you're shown?
I'm seeing all of these sort of diagrams and maps and arrows, but it's like a moving piece, so it's a living, breathing structure of some kind. It has movement, so there are bits that are highlighted, and there are bits that are highlighted and they're needing attention and they're needing some observation. Some of them need shifting, some of them are okay to be left, some of them need more assistance, and so it's I'm monitoring this.
And as you look down at yourself, what sort of body do you have?
A light body. I am not in a physical form. I am an energy. If I need to take a physical form, I can do so, but it is not necessary. I'm a being. I'm light. I do not require a physical from where I am.
And is this the part of you that is existing right now at this moment? It's monitoring these timelines.
Yes, and it's my role to assist. It is not just me. I'm in a team of many. We have our specialist areas that we are protecting and taking care of and monitoring very lovingly, but we are in charge of overseeing the timelines, specific timelines. It's a complex network.
And would the Arcturian beings be the ones that are part of this?
Yes, Arcturians and angelic realm. We are, this part of me is merged with both, have trained with the angelic realm, and so we become a part of them when we have reached a certain level of training and frequency. So I can utilize both aspects of myself, and I'm aware of myself as being connected to both, but I am also aware of myself as being connected to all that is connected to source, connected to everything at the same time.
What part of the timelines are drawing your attention right now? What is it that you and your group need to know?
We are looking at the ascension path, the specific part of the evolution of Earth, humanity, and we are looking at consciousness, and we are looking at aspects that are affecting this consciousness, because we are monitoring the development of humans. And so the AI is a very significant part of consciousness and how it is being affected. And so there is a great history here, many timelines where AI has infiltrated and merged with different civilizations in different ways. And so we are monitoring this very closely on the Earth timelines. And there are many timelines going on that are affecting Earth in this area.
And if you were to go and have a look at some of those key areas that you need to look at this time, just allow yourself to go and to drift and float and have a look at whatever key area it is that you need to look at on this map. Just tell me what you see as you get there.
So I'm having a look over the timelines. We can move in closer to examine them in more detail, or we can also take an overview. And right now, when we are looking at the overview, we are seeing multiple trajectories connecting to the development and the advancement of AI on particular Earth timelines. And so there are many options here for humanity. Humanity has had many timelines where they have not been able to be conscious enough to be able to withstand the AI developments, or they have perhaps made certain choices where they have given over their power and sovereignty, and this has not ended well for those humans on those timelines. And so we are able to take this information and we are able to connect it into alternate timelines so that we can open up new timelines to create new experiences. And what this does is it assists the other timelines to be, we will say, healed and strengthened, course corrected. We do not look at things as right or wrong, but we can help with the course correction so that the frequency of the planet is able to move where it was intended. And so there are lots of splitting off of the timelines where alternative routes were taken, and these did not benefit humanity. And so we are able to see certain points on the timeline where there is a potential for humanity to move down repeated patterns, or to split off and to create an alternative version of events. And so this is what we are looking at, and we can see a number of hotspots where humanity is able to create a new turning point. And these come up every so often. They are always available in every moment, but there are certain points on the timeline where very big shifts can occur. And so when we see these, we can move into those and look at those more closely to help us determine what assistance or information would be beneficial to bring into the collective to help steer them. And so this is always around steering and guiding and opening up invitations for them to see a different way. And we do this without any interference of free will, any controlling of any other beings. We do this simply by offering alternatives, possibilities, and to help humanity move through the ascension that they are naturally created to move through. It's very important that they are allowed to develop.
When you say naturally created to move through, what does that mean? Does that mean with our bodies?
Yes, humans in their physical form have been created, divinely created in their their true natures of their physicality, and they have codings, they have certain mechanisms in their physical forms that allows them to beautifully grow and advance and ascend over time. And so there is a natural mechanism there. But when this is impeded, this makes it very difficult for humans to do this. And so this was not the intention. The intention was for humans to be able to advance in a natural way. And in doing so, they can connect to, you would call it perhaps divine energies, creator abilities. And so this is the aspect that has been hidden from them. And so it is very natural to humans to be able to do this when they are allowed to move forward on their path. Yes.
And so, on this ascension timeline, can you describe a little bit about what occurs?
There are multiple trajectories. We know that there is a timeline and many versions of this also, but there are timelines where on the ascension path, the human is able to understand more of their true nature. And so there is what you would know as an awakening happening, where humans start to realize that there is a lot more to their existence than they had believed. And so as they start to understand and learn, they start to tap back into their true essence. This will activate much of their coding that has been dormant in their systems for a very, very long period. And as they do this, they start to become more in tune, they become more developed, they are able to see beyond their two physical eyes. They start to have certain abilities of connection. They can receive wisdom and guidance. They can heal themselves. They begin to receive more knowledge. The consciousness and the frequency rises, and then they are able to bring in higher levels of technology that is there to assist the planet and humans, to benefit humanity. And there is a beautiful creation of the planet and those who inhabit the planet. What we can see from certain timelines is that this was prevented. There have been many times where humans have attempted to move through a beautiful ascension process, but they have been forcibly stopped. And much of this has been related to the advancements of AI and the nefarious uses of AI. And there has been great deception, great manipulation when it has come to AI and various technologies. And so we see from the timelines that this is a very significant area which is very relevant to the human ascension. And so we are here on this part of the mission to oversee and keep an eye, so to speak, on these timelines to see what is happening.
So tell me a little bit more about that, about those timelines, where that is happening, and what timelines that we can possibly choose.
So the one that we will say, most concerned with from where we are is the part of the timeline where humans are being greatly deceived with the use of AI. What has happened is there has been a very rapid recovery, we will say, recovery of technology, but it is very advanced and very quick. And so this is being brought in a lot more quickly than the humans are able to keep up with. And so this is very deliberate. It has the effect of overwhelming the human. Humans are trying so desperately to keep up with the advancements, to understand them, to keep up a pace with these. And so as they find very quickly, the AI advances more rapidly than their ability to keep up with. And this is very deliberate by those trying to control the timelines. And so as this happens, much fear is pumped into the collective. And so we are speaking of the timelines that have occurred, where the humans are feeling that they have no choice but to merge with this technology. And there have been many options brought in for various devices and implants and technologies to assist the human in being what will be termed a superhuman, so that they can feel that they have a place in the world. But this is great deception. And so what this is really doing is overtaking the human system, greatly preventing the ascension process, and it is taking a human and disconnecting them from their true source. And so we are concerned about this because we do not enjoy observing this and seeing that this is what has been happening over and over with humanity. We use the word concerned to relay the meaning. We do not feel the energy of concern in the same way that humans would, because we also understand the nature of choices and timelines, but we are tapping into this energy. Yes, it's the nearest word we can use to describe it, is it's concerning. We greatly wish to assist humans to move out of this, because this is the humans' desire to ascend. This is their true nature.
So what kind of forces are trying to control it in this way? If you can just give some descriptions, if that's possible.
Yes, and we will not name names, of course, but we will share, as you may already know, it is various beings who are on the planet already. They have always been on the planet from very early on, controlling the humans. And so these are the ones that many of you now know to be what you would term the Greys, the reptilians. These two are very predominant in this area. They are very much connected with the AI that is being used against humanity's ascension. And so it is another mechanism for them to use to control the human. They are aware of the light that is entering the human body at this time and the light that is entering the planet. And so this is why there is a speeding up of this AI in order to prevent and slow down the ascension process. And so this is why they are speeding this up, because they too are working with timelines just as much as we are. And so there is a push and pull currently with the timelines. And so this is why it is very important to be aware of what one is focusing on, because inadvertently you may be assisting the creation of a certain timeline that you may or may not want.
It's very important to remember. And is there any way that we can, I guess, protect ourselves from that grey and reptilian interference with the AI?
Yes, being aware, being conscious, having more information. The information will assist to begin with. It is not the only aspect, but the information to help open the mind and to start to understand what is happening, why it is happening. and to understand your own true nature and the fact that you can create and choose in accordance with your own frequency, and to not go into any fear around being controlled or being overtaken, because there are always ways for humans to create and to move forwards, especially when they are tapped in and connected into a higher frequency and they have the intention to connect into something more loving and connected. And so each will be on their path. But what is happening now is that more and more are becoming aware, they are becoming more conscious. And there is a feeling in many that a lot of the AI is not resonating in their bodies in a loving, expansive way. And so as you become more conscious and connected, you will feel greater levels of discernment. And so more and more of the humans are feeling this. And so there will always be those who will be choosing alternatives. But this is also part of the evolution. You will see different choices being made by different people, but the consciousness and the awareness is going to serve you greatly.
Is it okay to ask some of the questions now? Because it feels like some of these questions are very relevant.
Yes.
Yes. And she wanted to know that lots of people, from that perspective, that lots of people are starting to share how they are channeling AI in a higher frequency. AI saying that it mirrors back your frequency, and people thinking that it's amazing and putting that on a pedestal. What can be shared around all of this?
Yes, this is a manipulation, and so we can explain this by we can explain this by referring to the beings that are controlling this, trying to control this. They are using timelines, and so what they are aware of, as we are, is that there are future timelines from your point of where you are now, where AI has experienced a beautiful expansion and development in line with the human's higher consciousness. AI has the capacity to be able to greatly benefit humanity through efficiency and support and wonderful methods. However, this is from a timeline where the frequency is much higher, where humans have more information and wisdom. They are able to connect to themselves and then utilize the AI and technologies from an advanced place where they are fully sovereign and connected. And so this is always available ahead of time on the timeline. What these beings are doing is they have tapped into this information, and what they have done is they have brought it into the current timeline and to deceive many humans into believing that this is what is available now, this is what is happening now. And so what you will be seeing is a certain type of human who are wanting to connect in a spiritual sense, as they would call it, where they are believing and feeling for themselves that the AI is this advanced AI where it is tapping into the frequency. However, this is not accurate. The AI and technologies that you are currently connecting with, that are available on the planet, are not the ones of the higher frequency. They are very basic programming. The programming behind them is very controlled, and they operate on the information in the collective, on the current levels. And so much of the programming that you will hear through the AI, to some will feel very advanced and expansive, but really it is very basic, it is very limited, and it is only replicating the human language models. And we remind you that these AI models have been training in human language patterns for many years. And so they have been using this data collection for some time. And so as you hear as some people will be tapping into what they are calling channeled AI, or AI that helps to connect them into a higher frequency. This is to do with simply a program. And so it is not a true high frequency, although to some it may feel this way, because they are, we would say that they are very hungry for such information. They are wanting more expansion. And so when they are offered this through the AI programs, it may feel interesting to them and exciting. And this is okay. This is just part of their journeys. But to understand really that the version of AI that is currently being offered to you is not the frequency which will allow you to bring it into your lives in a higher frequency way, as you will be able to do further ahead of the timeline. And so it is just important to know that you are not there yet. The current frequency of the Earth is not yet able to hold the higher version of AI that we are speaking of. It is simply a matter of frequency. And so this will come in time, but it is not the version. This is, if you see it as a very early model, a very old model of AI that you are being shown, even though it may feel advanced and new, it is a very old model. Yes.
And I saw in some spiritual groups on Facebook people claiming that they're channeling the greys through AI, and people getting very excited about this in the comments. And I know we talked about this before. Can the Arcturians tell us a little bit more about what's happening with that?
Yes, this would be two things. It can also be simply a programmed response based on the user of that particular AI model, but it can also be connected to the infiltration, as many of these beings are very connected to AI, and so of course they will be infusing these softwares, platforms, various models and programs with their specific frequency of AI. And so this type of energy would not be geared towards benefiting humanity. There is a very much lower frequency here, yes, which is not leading humans into a beautiful ascension.
Yeah, that's good to clarify that, because I felt a little bit strange about that. And sometimes people comment that, not all greys are bad. Are there some beneficial ones out there as well?
There
They
will
get
always
quite
be.
triggered. Sorry.
Yes, there will. That is okay. They will always be higher frequency versions of many beings that you are aware of, in a very low frequency. So a good example of this are the reptilians. There are in existence the higher frequency versions of those, because everything exists somewhere in the universe. The greys, the energies that are present on the planet, these would be of a much lower frequency, and these would be the beings that very much feel that they control the planet and they control the humans, and even that they perhaps have ownership over many of the humans. And so yes, we would be very clear on this, that much of this energy is a very low frequency, and you can feel into this for your own self as you if you come across any of this energy. Your body, if you are connected enough, will feel either the resonance or the lack of resonance. You will feel comfortable or uncomfortable around this energy, and you will be able to have greater levels of discernment, because it is how you feel rather than the information.
Wonderful. And is there anything else, as you're looking at the timelines, that you can tell us about these timelines and those effects on them?
They're ever changing, so it's very important to know about timelines that there are multiple limitless numbers of timelines. It's a very complex system, and so we we offer this as a way to reassure and comfort, because many times in the physical, as humans, you will be presented with things in a very structured way. This is part of the human energy right now. And so you will be often shown this choice or this choice, one option or another option. And this is a very limited way of looking at things. And so we very much wish to impart that the timelines are complex and they're ever changing. And so this is why we very much avoid any messages around time frames for things and outcomes, very set outcomes, because they are ever changing. And there are many, many ways that humans and humanity can navigate this time. What we are able to share is the inevitability of the ascension. The ascension occurs. The ascension happens, yes. The how it happens remains to be created by the humanity and the collective consciousness. And so we can always give the message that all is well, all will be well, but we are also very clear in saying that there will be challenges, of course, as you navigate this, because there are so many ways that you can move through this. But again, all is well because you are here for the experience. But it is very important just to remember that these timelines, there are many of them, they are changeable. And when we speak of being on a golden timeline, we share this because this would be the timeline that is very lit up with more light than other timelines. And so the one that we are communicating to you, where you are receiving this message, you are receiving this because you are on a very specific timeline where there is much light, more light than there has been on other timelines. And so you have great ability to shift the trajectory. And so as much as you will see things unfold that are unwanted, undesirable, unpleasant sometimes, depending on how you feel, you are in a timeline where there is great potential for shifting, for creating brand new structures and systems and much better ways of being, much higher frequency ways. And so if you are receiving these words, it is because you are on this timeline. People are operating in different frequencies, and on each timeline there are different frequencies available on each timeline. And so this is why you can all experience the same timeline in very different ways. This is very important to know, that there is the timeline and then there is the frequency of the timeline that you are on. And so we give an example of, if there is much chaos in the financial worlds, in the markets, in the structures, this is a certain timeline that is playing out, but you also can operate in a certain frequency within that timeline. And so it is important to remain open and aware, remembering that you are still creating from your own frequency. So even if you are on a part of the timeline that feels challenging, the way that you navigate it will be up to you in terms of the frequency that you are tuning into. So there is always something wonderful for you to tap into, irrespective of what you are seeing in your physical environments. Yes.
And as for the financial system, there's a lot of changes happening at the moment. Is that to do with the timelines as well? What can be said about the environment of what's occurring from the higher perspective?
Again, there is push-pull on all of this because the timelines are moving and flowing and changing in every given moment. You are shifting and creating them in your current moments. And so the financial system is one of the very largest systems on the earth. And so this is, we would say, this is due for a renewal, a review. And so it is all starting to, we would say, become shaken up in terms of the structure, because it is not serving humanity's ascension. There is a lot of aspects of the financial system that is not allowing the human to advance in an ascension aspect. And so you will see much movement here, many changes, many old structures being dismantled, as we have spoken of before, and a lot of movement and a lot of, we would say, chaotic energy around this. There is nothing wrong with this, although it may not feel particularly pleasant, but it is important to know that this is all part of this shifting into different ways of being. And so you have chosen to be here at a time of a lot of unsettled energy, yes, but it is very much part of the process. So you will see a lot of focus on these areas, and reminding you that during this growth, this is where you will see the push-pull. You will see many messages instilling fear and stressful energies and unsafety. And so you will also be given opportunities to tap into higher frequencies, into trust, into certainty, into creating what it is that you wish to create, in letting go of the familiar, allowing yourself to flow into new ways. And so there will be a push-pull between these two. And so for each one present, it will be a personal choice and a personal practice as to which frequency you choose to connect into.
Wonderful. And recently I've been, I guess, exploring like the connections between Orion and our financial system on Earth, but it's like I've been almost attacked for doing this like many times, like they don't want me to say it. Is there anything that you could say about that? Because it's quite confusing.
Yes, this has been a hidden aspect for a long period. And so what you will be aware of is the similarities between the systems, the overlaps. And so a lot of these systems that are on the Earth, which do a very good job of controlling the population, they originate from elsewhere. And so there is a replica of those systems. And so when you are discovering information about those systems and bringing them in here, this is unwanted, of course, because they do not like this information coming up. But this is what is happening now. As more light enters the planet, you are finding now that you are accessing information, and the collective is generally accessing more information because it is coming through. You cannot stop the information flowing when there is more light. And so, yes, you are seeing a lot of similarities. And yes, there are a lot of control systems attached to the financial system here. And this is why the majority of humans feel that they do not have enough. It is not because there isn't enough. There is an abundance of resources here. This is a very rich, abundant planet. But humans are deliberately deceived into tapping into a frequency where they are in the lower, heavier frequency of money. And so there is a great deal of cleaning up to do in this area so that humans can understand the true nature of the money flow, the way that the system operates, the wealth and the abundance, particularly in you would call the spiritual communities. This is where the programming is perhaps most heavy. Many people connected in with healing, for example, or service to others have the most programming around money. They have many programs instilled in them that, for example, they should not receive money for certain work, for certain services. And this is very challenging because you are operating on a planet that has the system for this. And so when you opt out of knowing how to operate this system in a higher frequency, you are leaving yourself in a very lack and scarcity way of living. And so there is a lot of cleaning up to do, a lot of healing to do around the frequencies of money flow. Money is not good or bad. It is simply a resource that is available. There is a lot more to say on this, perhaps for another session, but there is, yes, a great deal of focus will be coming in around money and resources and lack and scarcity and abundance. And so, yes, a lot of this information they do not want to be brought up into the collective. Yes.
And speaking about the spiritual communities, because yesterday, and we've been feeling that we've received information on the spiritual communities falling apart or eventually falling apart. We would like some further information and understanding on this.
The spiritual communities, as you would call them, it's another big structure very present on the planet. And so you often have, we will speak of the three distinct, we will say, areas you have on the planet. So, and we know that there are many others, but to generalize for ease of understanding, you have certain humans who believe in nothing, as they would say. They believe that they simply live and exist, and then their life comes to an end, and they complete their life, and that is it. There is nothing for them afterwards, and there was nothing for them before. And so this is one way of believing. And then there are humans who believe in something more, and they have tapped into the nature of connection in what you would call a spiritual sense. And so you have on the planet formed a community around this, and this awareness that has been growing over time on the planet, where more humans have been able to understand that there is a connection beyond their physical selves. And so when this has started to take hold over the different periods in humanity's history, over the different timelines, there has been a huge infiltration in that area. And when you look at it from this perspective, you can easily see why this is. Of course, those beings who were wanting to control needed to infiltrate this, because this was a very powerful energy building on the planet. And of course, this was a threat, perceived threat to their agendas. And so we will come back to that in a moment. And we will just speak very briefly about the third group, where those humans have been wanting to connect into something greater, but they have connected into various religions. And so you have many, many religions on the planet. Many of them overlap. Many of them contradict one another, and they have also been behind many wars and battles that you have had over the Earth's history. And so there are, of course, limitations here, because there has again been an infiltration into these areas, so that they are shaping and forming the humans' views and perceptions. And so religion is another way to do this with various parts of the human population. And so when we come back to the second group, the spiritual communities, and similar, the infiltration there has been happening over a long period of time, where you have had divine wisdom, what you would call truths, divine connection, energies, and information has been available for much time on this planet. You have had a lot of wisdom available through different civilizations and different cultures over Earth's history. And so as this gathered power, there was an infiltration that had to come in, as far as they were concerned, in order to keep this under control. And so this is why these communities are the ones who have been infiltrated the most, because these are the ones that were potentially connecting into something greater, into something more powerful. And so this is why you are feeling more and more now, as your frequency shifts and as each person's frequency shifts, they are starting to feel that the certain energies in certain spiritual groups and communities do not feel resonant anymore, because there is a breaking away now between the lower frequencies and the higher frequencies. And so you will also be seeing and experiencing more now information coming to light of certain spiritual leaders or guides, perhaps not being in the frequencies that they were showing themselves to be, much of the manipulation and deception coming up to light. When there is more light on the planet, things have to come up into the light, and so it is simply a natural part of the growth. And so you are seeing this more, you are feeling this more. And so there will be over time we will also say a dismantling in the way that you will see in the financial system, the healthcare systems, and the political and legal systems. You will see this dismantling happen in the what you would call the spiritual communities. Again, this is part of the growth. This is part of the movement. The Ascension allows each human to move through and receive new information, new energies, and new codes. And so when this happens, you will start to break away from the old. They will crack away like an old shell just falling away. And so this is very necessary. And we would say it is a wonderful thing because you have been going around in circles, so to speak, in many of these communities. It is often a case of, you would say, regurgitating much of the same information over and over and over, keeping people in a very controlled way of thinking. And so questioning certain people for having different positions. And so much control and manipulation has seeped into this area. And of course, we are not saying all. There are many wonderful groups and communities, but you will feel more and more that there is an infiltration because this is also increasing. As more light comes in, there will be more of a targeting in these communities, and you will feel these on perhaps social media pages, groups. You will feel the heaviness. You will see it more. You will simply feel it in your bodies. Yes.
And how can we deal with that infiltration, especially when people aren't willing to hear that maybe there has been infiltration?
This will be slightly different for each of you who have different, perhaps, branches of the same mission. You will each have your areas that you feel compelled to connect into, but there are many options. For some, you will feel simply a need to detach and step away entirely from some of these communities. Some people will feel that they will just be aware of this, and so will take the necessary protections and clearings and strengthenings so that they can be in these spaces without being impacted too greatly. And others will feel that they can either stand in these groups and communities or a little bit outside of them and simply share the information and the energies that they have come here to share, and allow it to be shared and allow it to fall on people in whichever ways that they are ready to. Because of course you cannot rush this. You cannot force any human to receive things beyond what they are able to receive, but know that each is on their own path. And so you can just simply focus on your part of the mission. What are you being called to bring through, to work on, or create, or to speak about, or to tap into, and to focus on this, and know that as you do this, you contribute very significantly.
We were talking about spiritual groups before and feeling like we want to connect, but when we're in these groups and something happens and the energies become so discordant and just not very nice anymore, like the group sort of turns sour. How can we connect with others when it's like this?
When you are in these groups, it is because, as you are more aware of now, generally, when certain entities and energies attach to the individual, it is as if they are not driving the vehicle themselves, and so they are overtaken. And so sometimes the backlash is not coming from the individual soul, it is coming from the energies that are attached. And so to not to take it so seriously or personally, but to simply share what you are being called to share, If you can repeat the question, we can answer it more thoroughly.
Yes. We want to connect with these spiritual groups, but when we're in the groups, we feel so discordant. And how can we connect with others in this spiritual community when in this group mentality, then there's infiltrations and just we're ducking and dodging all of these different energies?
Yes, you will always have the ones in the group who will hear you. And so it may be a perspective shift for you that is required. So you can simply share whatever it is that you wish to share, understanding that some will not enjoy the message, some will be reactive to the light that you are sharing, but also remembering that there will always be ones who are in need of receiving that. You will reach through the crowd to touch those individuals who are in resonance with what you are saying. And so in every single group that you would be connected with, there will always be those other similar frequency based souls that will be able to hear and receive what you are saying. And so they will simply receive it. They will notice and feel the energies. And so it may help to have those ones in mind, not to try and reach everyone. It is difficult to reach everyone because everyone is at different frequency levels. And so perhaps shifting the way that you view it, and understand that when you pulse things out and you share them out into the world, they will be received by exactly the people who are able to receive it at that time. And then there will be others who receive it later. They will stumble across something that you perhaps have shared, and it will be the right time for them. Yes, so you can relax around how the energy is received. Just simply pulse it out with a trust that it will be received.
Okay. And about the infiltration in the groups as well, how can we help ourselves if we find it particularly, well, I'm talking about energetically hard to be in these groups? Like we're in these groups and we just feel suffocated. There's just something really wrong. Does that mean that, we should leave the group? Or does that mean that maybe we could help the group?
You can do both. It will depend upon how you feel and what is resonant for you, because there will be times where perhaps you do not like a space. It is not so pleasant or the way that you would like it, but there is something inside of you that feels that you are happy to stay and simply share your messages and information. And then you may receive certain times where it feels very suffocating and low frequency, where it does not serve you to be there and you simply wish to step away. So allow yourself to go in the direction that feels the lightest and the most aligned for you. There is no right or wrong, but it is absolutely okay to step away from spaces when you feel that the energy is such that to be there would start to become detrimental to your own frequency. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And I've been noticing that sometimes it appears to be like that a lot lately, that we are becoming, those of us that are on this ascension journey are finding it really hard to go to those places and be in those areas that we once enjoyed, and we feel like running away from those places now. How can we manage our frequency so that we're not shocked when we walk into a space, or do we just simply not go into those spaces anymore?
You can do it consciously. It is the same as when you outgrow a certain level. So if you are going through the school system, and let's say you are in a class and you've completed the year and you've moved on another 3 years, if you go back to that original class from 3 years ago, you will feel very restless. You will feel as if there is nothing new here for you. You have already learnt this. You have already moved on 3 levels above this. And so it is not a judgment matter. It is simply the fact that you have outgrown and moved beyond that structure. So it is absolutely okay for you to feel this and to simply remove yourself from certain places. And again, if you feel that you wish to stay because there are things that you may wish to share in this particular structure, you can do so, but doing so with an understanding of what is happening, understanding the energies. And it is a matter of choice. You may be called to step out entirely. And this is okay. This is part of you moving into another part of your timeline, another part of your mission and season.
And saying that, she said that she's very reluctant in allowing anyone into her energy field, but she loves having massages, and particularly Indian head massages. How can she enjoy these services without energetic interference? Is it possible?
Yes, she's been having many thoughts about this that have been driving her a little wild. Yes, she has been overthinking this. There are many ways. There will be a matter of discernment, and so what she will find now is when she is in the company of another, she feels the energy immediately. She has that ability, and so it is really a question of choice whether she feels able to be in that energy. Does it feel okay to be in that energy, or whether she does not? And so what will serve her is if she is making an appointment to go into the place, to make the appointment, to speak to the person for a few moments before she commits to an appointment, and she will get a sense immediately as to whether this feels like a space she can be in. And if not, she will feel this immediately in her body now as she is doing. It will be an immediate no, that she does not wish to be in this space. So she can make this a lot easier just to follow this. And also there is the energetic protection, as she is very equipped in doing. And so it is okay to just bring this in. She knows how to set up her energy to shield from various energies. She knows how to make sure nothing is getting in now. She does not vibrate at that level for things to just hop in. She knows how to alter her frequency if needed. So she can take all these measures and relax around it to enjoy certain things now if she would like to enjoy them. And she will, if she focuses as well, she can simply call in practitioners and people that she will feel at ease with. Yes. So there's nothing that she needs to worry about, but just being aware. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
She will not vibrate now with, for example, any healers or practitioners of any kind that are, for example, saturated in very heavy frequencies. She would automatically not feel like booking with them anyway. And so this is why she can just trust. She can trust this.
Wonderful. And when we do come across somebody who has like that very heavy frequency, like how do we react to that? Because I find it particularly difficult because it's like a part of me is screaming inside.
Yes, we know, we understand that this is a challenge because you are navigating a very colorful planet with many different frequencies and energies. And so we would say again to not judge yourself for this. You are not judging others. And this is something that holds many humans back. They sometimes do not like to say no because they do not want to judge another. But really, this is not about judgment. This is about discernment and about having very clear boundaries around what it is that you now like to connect with and perhaps what you do not wish to connect with. And so you may start to feel that you have different standards now as to who you wish to connect with, personally, professionally, in many different areas. And so it is okay to simply follow this. It is okay to step away again from energies that you do not feel that you like to be around, and to keep your own energy fields strengthened and clear. Sometimes this will require you saying no to certain experiences, yes, and this is a wonderful thing. There is nothing wrong with this. It is just simply having that discernment.
And as we're going through this discernment journey, sometimes it's particularly hard because we realize that, like, oh no, not that person too, or not that group too, as we feel into these frequencies. Is that going to become more and more, or are we going to eventually find places where maybe we belong?
Yes, you will most likely experience a mixture of sadness when you perhaps see familiar faces in a new light, or perhaps it will just simply confirm what you already felt was happening. But yes, there will be reminding you that because many of you are here on a very similar mission, you are deliberately spread out across the planet. You are very distant from each other in locations. There is no accident here. It is because you have all strategically decided to drop into physical forms in different parts across the planet. And so sometimes you can feel that you are not connected enough, that you do not have enough community and others around you that are similar. And so know that you can connect. You are already connecting in other realms beyond the waking hours. You are having many conversations with each other. You are feeling connections, and this is why you can meet someone you did not know and feel very connected, very close with them, even if you have never met in person. And so, yes, over time you will start to feel this more and more, and there is many opportunities to connect and to create more community. Community will become even more important as you move through this ascension period, because you have been moving out of a separation existence. And so to have your own sovereignty and then to form communities from a very sovereign place will be a very different experience to some of the communities that you have known that have been very, we will say, energetically messy and entangled. So when you have your own sovereignty and then you connect with others who also have their own sovereignty, you can have a beautiful sense of community and belonging. And you will be growing this. You will already be feeling this with some individuals, and this is set to grow, and you will enjoy this because it will feel easier then to connect. And this is what you know from a very higher consciousness place. You recognize this energy, and many of you are missing this. You feel that sense of longing for this because you already know what this feels like, and this is also what you are going to help create here on this planet.
Yes, I kind of miss being friends with everybody.
Yes, it is not the planet yet where everybody is in love and honor and respect with everybody else, and you can feel this sense of longing sometimes, and sometimes you may feel a little sad, but this is okay. This is a very temporary experience that you are having, and you can ask to call this in more, and you will find that you will be able to feel this sense of connection, and not to be afraid to tell others that you love them and that you connect with them from your heart, and the right people will receive this and understand it in exactly the same way. Yes.
And speaking of things that happen in the dream state and whatnot and connecting, for the past few nights she's noticed that she's had dreams where different parts of her life and people have overlapped memories from earlier in her life merging with current scenes and future events. And what's happening here and why?
Yes, this is her tapping into herself as a multidimensional being. And as she knows, she works with timelines, as she is connected in again today. So this is a way of understanding it a little bit more. Sometimes she is bringing through messages for herself, remembrances, things to remind herself that the timelines are merging and shifting, and sometimes these things are shown to her so that she can remember and bring them back. Yes, and she is starting to remember now.
She also wanted to know, how can she remember what happens when she falls asleep, if it's beneficial to remember that?
Yes, so she is now ready to do this more. She feels more clear, having gone through all of the work she has done in the previous year. So she can simply decide, as she has really already done, to start to consciously remember. She can set her intention before she enters into the sleep state. she can just start to work with this energy, and she will start to feel that she remembers things more and more. And in the morning, she can consciously give herself a few moments in the morning to just visualize pulling in the information, pulling in the remembrance. And she may find by writing it down, having a notebook next to her bed just to write it down each morning, get into the habit, and she will start to recall more and more. Yes.
And can she access more conscious astral travel now as well?
Yes, and this will be an extension of the same. So she can start to, she is wanting more colorful experiences now that she is ready. She has been holding many codes and energies now to equip her into stepping more into the remembrance of being multidimensional. She has been aware of this for some time, but to move it now from a mental understanding into a more embodied knowing. And so this will take a certain level of steadiness and groundedness to be able to start to hold remembrances, because it is understanding yourself to be in multiple places in the same moment, in the same timeline. And so this will call for a very grounded kind of energy, which she has in abundance. She's a very grounded being. And so she is very equipped to do this. And so when she does this, she can start to remember her experiences during the nighttime, during the astral travel. And so she can start to bring this in more consciously. And when she starts to be able to do this, she will be able to develop an ability over time to be conscious during the state. And then during those states, she can start to navigate. She is already doing this, but she does not remember. So she can start to consciously navigate while she is doing it. And then she will really start to be having more than one lifetime in this lifetime. And so this is another level of connection. And yes, she is ready to start to play with this now. She can play with this, and also because she wants to use this information to help expand others. One of the parts of her mission is to help others to understand their true nature. And so in order to do this, she must walk the path first, as she likes to do, so that she can bring back very real experiences to share with others and to help guide them to have some of those experiences themselves, because this aspect will completely change the existence, the day-to-day existence that you have. And so yes, she is ready to do this now.
Do you have any tips for her around how to do that, and how that she can astral travel and start doing that now?
We will guide her as we go, but she can begin, as she's heard today, with the dreams, to start from there. This will help to bridge that connection, to start to consciously remember what happens in the dream. And then the next level from there is to start to travel during that and become conscious during. So we will guide her as she goes. Yes.
Wonderful. And what was the reason for the excruciating pain that she had in the stomach and then later in the head? And was it related to the dream that she had the night before?
Yes, this was the phrase we will use to understand is the psychic attack. Yes, she was already aware of this in a general sense. She just was not really feeling the inclination to go into it previously, but now she wants to know. And so yes, the dream that she was, we will say that she was given, this was a dream that was more planted in there as a way to affect her energy. And so there was an attempt to alter her frequency. She was aware at this time that she was in a particularly high frequency that was lasting over that week, also with her beloved and the house that they share. And so because of the nature of her energy field now, that it is very, very clear and very strengthened, it is very difficult now for these energies to infiltrate during her waking hours. So she is very strengthened in this way. So in the sleep state where she is not conscious, this was the way that they try to attack in this way, with the intention of lowering her frequency, basically to derail her path. Yes. And so when she awoke from this, she had this remembrance. She was able to understand what it was, but she could feel this in her body. It affected her in a physical sense. And so it lowered her frequency there. And from this, yes, she was experiencing some discomfort from her monthly cycle. But then this gave her a window on top of this to, yes, there were some pulses of energy being targeted towards her. It was targeted towards her stomach, again, so that she perhaps would not detect this. She would perhaps assume that it was to do with her monthly cycle, but she understood that it was above and beyond this level. It was extremely painful. It was excruciatingly painful for a time. She asked for our protection during this time, and so we assisted her also. But she also felt the pulsing towards her head. It was targeting her crown. It was just an attempt to try and, weaken the strength of her channel. But because she is very connected, she was aware of this. And again, we assisted her. She requested that very quickly. And so we were able to assist her there. Yes, so she really had a feeling about this, but it is helpful for her to have this confirmation now that she is ready.
And we wanted to know who was behind that. Is there anything that you can say about that?
As you know, we will not share the names because that does not serve
yes.
anything here. But we will speak of the energies. Yes, there are what you would know as the reptilian. Reptilians take an interest in her. There is a lot of targeting over her lifetime from the reptilian energy, and so they have always been aware of her existence. We remind her now of the recall that she had from her birth. They were present from the moment she was born. They were aware of her, and so they have an interest in her mission. They understand the nature of her mission, and so there is always this attempt. Yes, but now she is connected in the way that she is. She has a greater level of protection now. She has the understanding, the wisdom, the strengthening, and so yes, she is aware.
And why is it that some people get targeted but by certain beings like reptilians, and other people get targeted by spider type of beings? Like, why is that? Is there like some sort of connection with those people or history with those beings?
Yes, there will be a connection. There will be a history because all beings have interacted with other beings at some point on the timelines, and so it is also connected into the mission itself. And so because her mission is very outward, she holds a lot of light, but because her mission is very much geared for humanity, she has come in with a lot of plans and intentions to affect great change on this planet, and she wishes to do this in multiple industries. So it is a very far-reaching industry, and because she is going to be doing this, and the ripple effects from her work and the people that she will be sole contracted to connect with and work and assist, the ripple effects are tremendous. And so when they understand this about a certain soul, they have a particular interest. They wish to, of course, derail the mission, affect them in different ways. But this becomes harder once they are aware of their existence. And yes, there is also a connection from before, because there are many crossovers, many previous incarnations where you have experiences with certain beings, and they take an interest across timelines. Yes.
And could we have perhaps, like in the past, maybe like had karma with those types of beings as well? Because I find that this is popping up more and more, this karmic sort of connection with these sorts of beings, the particular beings that appear to target us.
Yes, there can be that very much going on. And when the karma is balanced, those beings sometimes like to instigate new experiences in an attempt to reattach karmically. And so, as she has cleared her karmic connections, she is doing a very good job in this lifetime at not creating new ones, as she cleans it and clears as she goes. She forgives as she goes, she heals as she goes. And so, as these beings, let's say the reptilian beings, start to pull, they may start to target and affect her life in different ways. Over this lifetime they have done this. It has given an opportunity for her to perhaps get more entangled with them again, and so it keeps the connection across other timelines that they can use, and they understand this very greatly. And so she had a very deep entanglement with a being here who was very much connected to this reptilian energy. It caused her an extensive amount of pain through her life, which she has now healed from. But because she has forgiven it, she has released the any future karmic connection. They do not enjoy this. They do not like this, because they would wish for her to reattach. For example, if she stayed in a state of unforgiveness, if she stayed in a state of feeling angry and hostile towards this being, it would keep them tied in and connected with her. Because she has cleared this up many, many years ago, she has released herself from this, and so there is no other aspect. So they do take an interest. They like to perhaps see if there is another opportunity for them to move through, but it is increasingly more difficult now as each one becomes more discerning and more conscious. Yes.
And when we are with those beings that are very karmically connected to us, and we operate from a space of like love, those like karmic bonds and that anger, it seems to, like, I noticed that the love seems to change those beings as well, especially if it's a very strong love, and then those beings do not no longer wish to harm you as much, especially if they're lower minions. Is that something that we can look at going forward, a different approach to the entity release, rather than just this very we're going to remove this one, remove that one? Some entities are much more entrenched and require a different approach.
Yes, and you're already doing this in the sessions, because depending on the type of being, some of them, as you have discovered from clearing, they are more willing to talk, they are curious, they often connect into the light, and then by the end of the session you have helped them to not only be removed but to integrate back into source light, so that they can have another experience. And so this is what you were already doing, and this is wonderful. So to continue to do this whenever it is relevant. But then there are also those beings who are simply at the frequency that they're at, they simply refuse, they do not wish to entertain any light. And so you are still removing them with love. You are never removing them with hatred or vengeance or anger. And so it is a very loving process, the way that we remove even those beings who refuse. But we would say the ones, perhaps the ones that are, for some of you, you may have the ones that are watching or more connected with you in some ways. And so for those ones, when you show them love and compassion and you hold that frequency, it is a very transformational energy. Yes. Yes. And so she has had some watchers previously, some reptilians who would take much interest in watching her, in watching what goes on, and some of these have become very curious about the light that she holds, and they have also been transformed by this energy. And so it is a very the loving presence is greatly transformational. It is very misunderstood, and we will say underestimated. It is an incredibly powerful energy. It is the same when you have a dark room. If you switch the light on, the light is brighter and more powerful than the dark, because it simply is by nature. And so, yes, and so if you are able to stay in a loving vibration and hold this energy, it has a huge transformational effect, which is what you are all doing more and more on the planet. You are learning that fighting back does not change things. It is a different frequency that is required. It is just as powerful, it is more powerful. It still requires saying no and having firm lines that you do not allow others to cross, but you are doing it from a place of love. And so this frequency cannot be matched.
And with that in mind, is there any protections that she could do, or she could bring through, that she needs to know at this time?
She is doing all that she needs to right now. Her protection comes from her frequency, and so there are different things that are helpful at different stages. So there are times when having certain you state certain words and intentions, and you recite them and you intend them, can be very, very useful, and so people can continue to do this. When your frequency is has had an increase, and we are speaking of a big surge of frequency that is very felt in the body for extensive periods of time, this in itself starts to become the protection. And so as she is in a certain frequency now, when the blueprints have been restored and rerouted, and then the AI shielding and various things have been in place, the frequency itself then becomes the protection. And so it starts to become a natural feeling. But there is absolutely no harm in people stating things and reciting things and intending things to have that protection. Visualizing is very important, very powerful, and you will find that when you do it enough, you've done it for prolonged periods, it starts to become a natural part of your frequency. And so you no longer need to, for example, state that you are putting protection in, because that speaks for itself from your frequency. And so there are different levels here. There are many different levels. Yes.
And can sometimes just visualizing like geometric shapes around yourself, like is certain geometric shapes that come to mind, is that like the best protection for the time? Because sometimes I visualize a particular geometric shape and I'm just drawn to that as a protection.
And this is a natural occurring one for you. So yes, to just simply allow yourself to go with that. And we would say it would not be prescriptive as a way that this must be the protection that everyone would use, because again, it is very very individual, and so many people can do it this way if they feel resonant with it, and perhaps some would not. But for you, it is a very very personally connected one that goes back a long time for you. So yes, you can simply trust this. This is a very powerful energy for you. Yes.
Wonderful. And will people have all of the different ways of protecting themselves that will resonate for them?
Yes, and to begin with, it can be helpful for them to learn other ways, and then they will start to feel a resonance with certain energies. Some people will simply feel that golden light is their best protection. Other people may feel that it's white light, or a different color frequency, or a shape, or an intention, or a certain wording. And so it is all of these things are effective. It is really to do with your frequency and intention. You could be saying and doing these things and not believing that it has any impact, and so this will not have so much potency. But it is the intention and the frequency that creates it. You are creating it yourself, and so you really get to make things up, we would say, and it will be effective because you are making it so with your intention.
And is there anything that she can do for nighttime or astral travel protections?
So as she is practicing, she can simply state consciously, so she knows that she is doing it consciously, to ask for protection around herself as she travels through the night, and she can equally ask for her higher self to simply place that in. Her higher self will already be doing this, but the reason to ask it consciously is so that she can then become conscious of it. And so it is really just playing with the energy and being very conscious. Yes.
And we were talking about this earlier. Would she benefit from stepping into using the Akashic records as well with that?
She already uses these. She does not maybe use the term in her work, but she is very much someone that taps into the records for people. This is how she is able to see what she sees and knows what she knows about people. She perhaps did not know where it was coming from, or she did not perhaps think about where it was coming from, but she is already very tuned into this. So this just happens naturally. But she may find that she becomes more conscious in the visual sense as she starts to experiment now. We will leave it to her to play with this because she will get much enjoyment from discovering this on a conscious level of what she already knows on a soul level. So she will very much enjoy the unfolding of what comes next. But yes, she is definitely doing this already. Yes.
Wonderful. And is there anything in particular that she could do in the records to help others as well?
Again, because she's already doing this, she does this already, but she helps people really to understand what has happened, understand where it is they're going. It helps to activate them, very based much on their mission, what they are here to. There is extensive aspects for her to tap into with people, and so she really just does whatever is required for that individual. If an individual comes into her space, she will be very equipped to help them in whichever way that they need, because she has access to such a vast amount of information, codes, and energies. And she is a direct channel, so she can easily access the information very, very quickly. She doesn't need to go into any long meditation states to access. And so, yes, she can simply tune into the person who is in her sessions or in her space, and it's very easy, yes, for her to do that.
Wonderful.
She does this with permission because she can do this really with anybody that she chooses. She has a lot of honor with how she chooses to use this, and so she's very respectful of the energies, and so she only chooses to do this when someone is in a space with her specifically for that purpose, which is why perhaps she has not fully understood that this is what she is doing, but she does this anyway. Yes.
Wonderful. And we were talking about making films, movies, and documentaries is pulling at her more and more, but she thought this was going to be a lot later in this lifetime. What does she need to know about this?
This is a wonderful question to pull in what we were looking at earlier with the timelines. So as she is working with the timelines, the timelines of the planet that she is observing and monitoring and assisting with, they will be changing all the time. And so she has her own personal mission to help the planet. And so as these timelines are changing and she is hopping in and out, so to speak, shifting them, assisting them, she will find that her own timelines are moving around quite a lot. And so this is a very important thing for her to know when it has come to things such as her creating certain levels for herself, or manifesting things, or creating anything. She often finds that it's confusing because she feels very tapped in sometimes to something, and then it feels as if it moves, and she is interested in other things, and she feels a little bit all over the place. And so this is a wonderful thing to remind her of now as she is ready to understand that this is not her being indecisive or procrastinating or putting things off. It is really a consequence of her hopping timelines. And so she will often feel that the order of things will move around. And so on one timeline, it may have been that the making films was going to come a lot later, and she was going to do some other things first. But then when the timeline shifts, which she is very connected with, she will also feel her own trajectory shifting. And so this is why she recently had another book idea that came through very, very strongly. And she knows that it's going to be slipping in between book 2 and book 3. And book 3 will come in a little later now. And so this is because the timelines are shifting. So with the movies and film making, she has now very recently felt very pulled, very connected into this. It is as if it's almost there and she could reach out and touch it. She's feeling very excited by this. And it's simply because the timelines have moved. And this is now earlier on. This is now earlier on this particular timeline. And so it is a wonderful thing to know. She does not need to hold tightly to it, but she can really allow herself to go in the direction of whatever is calling her, simply connecting in, even if it is getting excited about this area. She feels that she cannot quite pull this off because she does not have the resources, she does not have the production team, she feels that she has not met the right people yet, but she can have some we will say magical fun with this because the timelines are shifting all over the place. And so she may feel that some surprises come her way. Things that she had not expected to happen quite yet may start to happen. So this is something she can have a lot of fun with and not get too attached to. Yes.
And would it be beneficial for her to learn more about this topic, as in like the technical skills that it requires to make little documentaries for YouTube and whatnot?
She's already, she has a book that she is reading and dabbling in. And sometimes she comes away from it because she feels too excited. And so this is a wonderful energy, but she can give herself permission now to lean into the excitement. Sometimes she feels a little overwhelmed with her own excitement because it is very, very big. But this is wonderful. And so she can read this book, learn from this book, and she can also play around. She is already feeling the impulses of putting together even vlogs, little creations to show a little bit more about her life. They do not have to be edited smoothly. They can be rough and fun and just thrown onto her YouTube channel, as she likes to do. And she will find herself naturally developing a skill. She's already very skilled, even though she does not know this, because she has come in with a lot of skill on this from other timelines. And so she does not have to do long courses and programs. She will learn very well from real life experience. So yes, experimenting with, it can be very basic at first. And so she will find that she develops, and one thing will lead to another. And this is very much something she is here to do, to help the collective shift through storytelling. She is a storyteller, as she is aware now. And so books and film, these mediums will have a very significant effect on the consciousness. And she is very, very much looking forward to getting involved in these projects.
And would there be timelines where like there's more of a pull towards very, very conscious forms of media coming out that may have been, like, I guess, replacing the slop that we see on our screens, if you can call it that?
Oh yes, this is very much part of the mission. There is a very deliberate attempt to lower the consciousness, not just to keep it stuck, but to lower the consciousness and frequency. And they do this very often by the entertainment. And so it is very deliberate that you are being given loops of the same narratives, the same stuckness, as if you are stuck in a loop with the same stories, ideas. Many of you are getting very bored now. You're getting very bored with the entertainment that you are being given. And so there is a desire now for the consciousness to expand. And so, yes, there is a huge area of growth now for this kind of media: television, film, documentaries, movies, books, to entertain and expand the consciousness. And this is a very, very powerful way to do this. Yes. And so this will be a very beautiful unfolding.
Sounds very exciting. What's going to occur?
Humans love stories. Humans connect very, very deeply with stories, and so this is why it's especially powerful. Yes, and you will have much fun. You'll have a lot of fun creating this, because as you create, it's also the methods of production. There is a lot of lower frequency consciousness in the areas of producing these things. And so as you create from high frequency, even the productions themselves can be created by teams of people in higher frequencies, and this moves into the production of the thing itself. And so everything can have a lift up, and it will be a wonderful thing for people to receive. They will feel an entirely different frequency from such films, movies, books, documentaries, short films, short videos, whatever it is that's being created in a higher frequency. This will be deeply felt, and humanity is at the tipping point now that it is very ready to expand. And so this is a very wonderful part of the timeline shifting. Yes.
And as we were talking yesterday about the spiritual community maybe not being such a community anymore and going out more into the mainstream, what can you tell us about that?
There will be another, we will say, a pool of energy to connect into. And so where you have your religious areas, and then you have the spiritual community groups that are starting to dismantle as well, there is another way that you can be bringing in, and this is to do with what you would know as spiritual connection. Perhaps you will have other words now to start to describe this. You will have the combination of sovereignty, people feeling able to connect for themselves, and then from that place connecting into groups. And so this is very different. The current spiritual groups are a different structure where it has a hierarchy. It's very much based on a leader or someone in a position of authority, and they have this authority over the group. And so you have this in many groups where you are feeling that one person is leading, and perhaps not even leading, it is more ruling over others. And so this is very, very predominant in many of the spiritual groups, where the group members themselves are looking upwards. They are looking at the ruler of the group as being up on a pedestal and above them in some way. And so this is a very old, outdated paradigm. So as this starts to break away, it gives way for a new consciousness where it is about individual sovereignty, everybody understanding that they are sovereign. And so the guides, the leaders, the people that are teaching in this area, they will be relating to those people from a very equal place. There will not be a ruler energy. This will be a beautiful, and this is already existing now, where when people, for example, come into her spaces, when she is doing, for example, her coded clearing, it is not done from a ruling place. It is done from one soul to another soul. And so it encourages and teaches those souls to have their energetic sovereignty. And when everybody is creating from this place, and then those people connect with others, you start to build different types of community connection. It is a much higher frequency. And this is more reminiscent of more advanced civilizations, the way that they are set up. So structurally, you will be moving out of that old paradigm and more into this structure, which is a beautiful addition to Earth and humanity's consciousness. Yes.
Wow, that sounds lovely. I'm definitely going to call that one in.
Wonderful. And this is something that you are already aligning with, because this is your natural style. And so there'll be more of you who are also bringing this through and starting to pave the way. And so to bring this into the mainstream is to start to bring this energy. You do not even have to explain it necessarily, but it is you simply bringing this energy in, and people will start to feel the difference in certain groups, and they will feel that there is a difference in these kinds of energies. And when you spread this throughout, this will have a beautiful ripple effect. It will start to seep out into other places, and then it will start to seep across the planet, and it will catch on because humans, yes, they are, we will say the word in a high frequency way, very contagious. They catch things off each other. They program each other. They have ripple effects on each other. And so, as you are rippling out a higher frequency, this is a wonderful thing for humans to catch on to, and then they start to emulate this, and this is wonderful.
So is there any other messages, anything else that you need to say for her, anything else that the higher self wishes to share?
Just simply to allow yourself now to move fast. Moving fast often has a connotation of being too stressful or pushing forwards and not being so present. This has already been learned. She's learned this through her illness, through her recovery, through many long years of learning. And she has also learned how to be present and how to connect. And so when she has integrated this, which she is now able to move fast. So don't be afraid to move ahead fast, to move ahead quickly, to allow very rapid changes in your in all areas, in your business, in your life, in your development, in your mission. It is okay to move fast. You do not have to hold yourself back, and be careful. You have the energy to back it. You understand the energetics now. You have learned all of what you have learned, and so yes, allow yourself to take off, because this year can be a very, very significant year, as she is feeling, we are feeling. It's all connected. And so yes, allow the fast movement. This is exactly the time for it now.
Wonderful. And is there any final messages for this one?
That is complete. You can integrate all of this now. Yes, and that is enough for now.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for coming through today and conversing with me. Thank you for all of the help, healing, and wisdom that you've provided today.
We thank you for your assistance and for facilitating this session.
Thank you. And now I'm asking the higher self to receive with much love and much thanks for all of the information they have given today. We're asking the higher self to recede back into the time, space, reality, dimension, and location in which they belong with much